This is the Makonde Dagger, an epic prop weapon designed by the legendary video game artist Jonah Lobe, and today I'll show you how I made it. Hey there fellow maker, Bill here, welcome to the shop. I finally finished the 250,000 subscriber community project. Stick around to the end of the video to get more details on how you can participate. Now this was a really special project and I'm over the moon that we got to work with Jonah Lobe on this project. He did all the design work of the Dagger. If you don't know Jonah, he's probably designed some of your favorite things in some of your favorite video games. I know he's made some stuff that I really like, including things like the Deathclaw in Fallout and the Draugrs from Skyrim. That's right. Jonah is responsible for some of my very favorite stuff in video games, and he helped us in this project by designing this Dagger. He did all that design work over on his Twitch channel with tons of input from the community. Once he was done with that design, he sent it over to me and I got to work on the build. The first thing I did was to trace the design as a vector file so that I could cut out some of the profile pieces on thin styrene using my laser cutter. Those profiles were then glued to more thin sheets of styrene at a right angle to create a spine on each part of the blade. These spines were the beginning of the three-dimensional form. To fill in those 3D forms, I mixed up some epoxy putty by hand and used it to rough out the bevels on the blades. I did some sculpting, but I left extra material on the piece so that I could sand it down to shape later. I'm personally a lot better at sanding than I am at sculpting. The same epoxy putty was used to make the rough figure forms on the interior of the Dagger. Just like the blades, I didn't put too much effort into the sculpt. I just tried to get the good base of material to work with. The pommel didn't have any kind of additional spine. I just did my best to sculpt the moon form directly onto the profile. While my epoxy clay was curing, I worked on the handle, starting with a piece of PVC pipe. This was heated up and carefully bent to match the shape of the handle. Once the shape was right, I cut it to length. The rings on the handle were made from half-round pieces of styrene plastic. These strips were tacked down with super glue and they're thin enough that I could wrap them around the handle by hand as I glued them down in small sections. The parts that attach to the pommel and the hilt of the Dagger were made from a high-density urethane foam. I pre-drilled one end and then I chucked it up in the lathe to form the outside of the part. This little piece is a nice and tidy cap for the top of my handle. By this point, the epoxy putty had fully cured rock solid and I could start getting the blade and figures closer to their final form. The blades were pretty straightforward. I used a variety of powered sanding tools to sand the bevels to their appropriate angle, and then I finished up the rest of the shaping by hand. The same was done with the pommel. I started with the sanding drum on my rotary tool and did all the final shaping with some needle files. The figures were a little bit more tricky. I copied the design of my vector printout onto the blob of cured putty, and I started chewing away material with some small cutting bits in my rotary tool. At this point, I also decided to glue all of the blade parts together before continuing with the build. Then I put more putty on the opposite side of the figures, again, just roughing out the form. While that was curing, I cut out a couple of pieces of 1/4-inch thick PVC plastic to create the hilt. I rough cut these parts on the bandsaw, cleaning them up on the belt sander, and I drilled out the centers. To add a little bit of an angled bevel to the parts, I used a needle file and some good old-fashioned elbow grease. When I was happy with how these two parts were looking, I glued them together using a rod to make sure they were perfectly centered onto one another. I also drilled a hole in the blade portion of the Dagger so that I could attach the hilt to the blade with that metal rod. I carefully glued the hilt to the blade, making sure everything was square and perpendicular. The same was done with the pommel and the end of the handle. Back to those figures on the center of the blade, I used 3 different sized cutting bits in my rotary tool. Starting with the largest bit to rough out most of the bodies, then I moved to the smaller bits to carve in the tiniest details like the fingers. Overall, I wasn't really all that happy with how my figure sculpting was turning out, so I tried something a little drastic. I took a round grinding bit in my rotary tool and I started adding a hammered texture to the figures. This was pretty tedious, but I think it did a great job of adding some texture contrast and adding that handmade look to the 2 humanoid figures in my prop. To help myself out with some of the finer details and finishing work, everything got a good coat of primer. This nice gray finish did a fantastic job of showing me all the spots that needed to be fixed. Any indents were filled in with an air drying spot putty. You can also see the rough sanded texture on the prop. Everything was sanded down to a nice smooth 220 grit finish before moving forward. Everything that is, except for the figures. They just got a light buffing with a scouring pad because I didn't want to sand away that lovely texture. Then everything got primed again. The finish at this point was looking much more smooth. I gave everything a final buff with that scouring pad, and then I started adding some intentional scratches to the blade. This was done by hand with a needle file and some sandpaper to add an authentic battle-damaged look. Finally, it was time for mold making. I molded the dagger in 2 parts, the blade and the handle. Each one of those was a 2-part mold, so I clayed up half of each part with an oil-based, non-sulfuric clay. I made sure the parting line was nice and clean, especially around those figures. Plastic mold walls were hot glued around all of my parts, and then I mixed up and poured my liquid silicone on the exposed half of my parts. This is Mold Max 30, and it usually takes overnight to fully cure. So the next day, I was able to flip my parts over and remove all of that clay. Mold release spray was applied to the exposed silicone, and I poured on the other sides of the molds. Once that side was fully cured, I removed my mold walls and then split the silicone molds in half, liberating the master parts that were suspended between them. Some vents needed to be cut into the molds to allow air to flow through a couple of tricky spots. This was done with a very sharp knife. I also cut openings in the tops of the molds to use as pouring spouts. To hold the 2 parts of each mold together, I cut out some 1/2-inch thick pieces of wood. These are used to clamp the mold closed with good even pressure. To prep the molds for casting, I dusted the surfaces of each one with some baby powder, making sure to get rid of any excess. Then the molds were clamped together using rubber bands and placed into the pressure pot. I mixed up some tinted urethane resin, I think this was Smoothcast 300, and I poured it into the 2 mold cavities. The lid was secured to the pressure pot, and I brought it up to about 40 psi. This would ensure that most of the bubbles left in my liquid resin would be compressed so tiny that you wouldn't even see them. When the resin was fully cured, I took it out of the pressure pot and opened up my molds. Inside was perfect copies of the Dagger master parts that I spent all of that time on. Next, I cut away the vents, cleaned up any flashing on the seam lines, and I trimmed and sanded smooth those pouring spouts. There were some tiny bubbles left in this particular casting, so carved them out a bit, filled them up with a mixture of super glue and baby powder, and then when that cured, I sanded it nice and smooth. To attach the handle to the blade, I drilled a hole in the center of each mating surface. I cut a short piece of steel rod to secure them together, but I waited to glue them permanently until after painting. Speaking of painting, to get that started, I roughed everything up with a little bit of that scouring pad action. Then everything got a nice coat of primer. For my metallic base coat, I started by airbrushing on a couple of coats of gloss black lacquer. The first coat was just a dusting to get things started, and the second was a much more wet layer to get that high gloss finish. Now I recently got my hands on some of this Spaztics chrome paint, and I thought this would be a good project to give it a try on. It was airbrushed onto the gloss black base coat, and it really does create a super bright, believable metallic finish, especially after a light buffing. To protect this wonderful finish, I used Alclad's Aqua Gloss, but I also mixed in some of their hot metal blue lacquer to give it a little bit of a colder look. Jonah's design calls for a slight blue finish, and I figured this would help get me closer to that. Again, this was applied with the airbrush. The blue is subtle, but it's there, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. To add the hamon line on the edge of the blade, I cut a wavy line into some masking tape, and I used that to mask off just the edge. The rest of the dagger was then painted with a mixture of Alclad's steel lacquer and more of that hot metal blue. I used this to cover everything that wasn't masked off, and when I peeled away the masking tape, that lovely hamon line became apparent. I wanted the figures in the blade to look like they were made from a different material than the rest of it, so I used a gunmetal colored paint and I mixed in some pearlescent powders. This later was then brushed on by hand, adding even more wonderful contrast. To protect all of this paintwork, I let it dry and then I airbrushed on another clear coat. Now I didn't want to go too hog wild with the weathering, just a little bit of my favorite oil paints in black and brown. I brushed the weathering paints down into the texture and crevices of the blade, and then I wiped most of it away. This does a great job of showing off the scratch texture on the blade. To really highlight that wonderful texture on the figures, I used a touch of silver rub and buff applied with my finger. I try not to overdo it, which is super easy to do by accident with rub and buff. I think this last little bit of highlights really does a great job of making the figures look like they were made from some kind of hammered metal. Finally, I could attach that handle. I used a 5-minute epoxy to stick the 2 parts together and that steel rod to make sure the connection was nice and strong. In Jonah's design, the handle is wrapped in some kind of red leather, so I cut out some thin strips and painted them red. To attach them to the handle, I brushed both the back of the leather and the handle with contact cement, and then I let that dry for 5 minutes. Once it was nice and dry, I carefully stuck the leather down and wrapped it around each section of the handle. The very last touch was to add just a little bit more of that oil paint on the leather to give it a nice world-worn look, and my epic dagger was complete. I gotta tell you, this was a pretty challenging build for me. I don't really do much organic sculpting like that, and I'm super happy to have gotten the practice. I really want to thank Jonah for helping us out on the project. This was really cool, and I'm crazy happy with how it turned out. And as you can see, I actually finished 2 of the daggers. One of them, well, that's for me. The other one is getting sent off to Jonah. Thanks, buddy. Okay, as I mentioned, this is the 250,000 subscriber community project. What does that mean? Well, at 100,000 subscribers, I did this project. I built Malcolm Reynolds' pistol, gave out free templates, and had the community build their own and submit videos of their finished projects. We're doing the same thing for this project to celebrate hitting 250,000 subscribers. Even though I'm well aware we're very close to 350. Sorry, this took a couple months to build. The template files for this and everything else you need to know will be on the blog post on our website at punishprops.com. There will be a link down below. You can make yours from whatever you want. You could 3D print it, make it from wood or foam, or you could sculpt it. You can make it from bread if you want. That's right, someone made a Malcolm Reynolds pistol out of bread. Now, all the tools and materials I used on this build, you'll find linked down below if you want to do a similar build to me. Giving you 2 months to build this thing. You've got plenty of time since I took my dear sweet time getting this thing done. Again, details on punishprops.com. Get started now. I can't wait to see how your project turns out. Oh, also, while you're working on it, if you want to tweet progress photos or your finished photos to me and Jonah, please do so. I'm at Chimbeard on Twitter, and he's at Jonah Lobe. Again, links down below. Hey, thanks so much for following along today, and thank you so much for helping us hit this amazing milestone. This has been a pretty crazy ride for us, especially over the last few months. And I'll tell you what, we have no intention of stopping. Thanks again, and I will see you in the next build.